Hello and welcome to the Honda S800 update number 17. Woohoo! I'm so excited. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting back together a relay. We got a lot of parts powder coated. We're going to put it together and we're also going to add some educational facts so you guys can learn a little bit along the way. And we're going to be reassembling this old school horn that came on the S800. It is really big, really neat. And one day I want to hear it because I bet you it sounds really, really unique compared to what we hear out there. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So if you saw our previous video, we talked about this plate that got powder coated, but here recently I got a call from Pro Coating and they let me know that the top cover was finished and that looks really awesome. So we're going to go ahead and put this relay together and go from there. But before we do that, I do want to show you something because I think it's really neat. We are working on a vintage car from 1968. And this was a regular size of a relay, right? Check that bad boy out. And that's pretty big. But what I decided is I was going to show you the size of a regular relay that's pretty much the same capacity here in today's world. As you can see, big difference. And this makes sense because if you think about how electronics, semiconductors, and circuit boards, how they've gotten smaller and more integrated, that's what happened with this relay right here. So I thought it'd be really cool to show you the difference of the size of the relays throughout the time. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing we're gonna do is this bottom part right here doesn't have a gasket that I know of. So this is simply gonna be held down by our bolts. But if we look right here, we actually do have a gasket for our relay. And the way that it attaches, there isn't any hardware, but there's a lip on this relay right here that this is going to go ahead and latch on. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I heard and felt a click, and same with this one. So we're going to call that on there. Yeah, that feels on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and straighten out this lead right here. It seems to be a little bit pointed up, so let's go ahead and do that as well. All right, and I'm going to be gentle because anytime that you move something back and forth, especially a thin metal, you're essentially weakening it. So I'm going to go gentle with it and go down as much as I can. If it gives me too much resistance, I'm simply going to just put a little more force. And I'm going to call that good. We're not going to go for perfection. All right. And essentially now it's time for us to go ahead and bolt this down on the car, or at least attach it so we know that it's in its place in the engine bay. So when we finally do get the whole car assembled, it's there waiting for us. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to hover over the mounting points and just hand tighten them. And I'm going to call that good right there, guys. Okay, so this is the original horn to the Honda S800, and I think it's the same one to the S600. I don't think there was a lot of developments to it, but first off, it is really heavy, and it is a solid metal. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to balance a kind of restoration / leaving some of the originality to it. And this is what I did. I took off this cover and it was essentially just old. That's all I could describe it. So we sent it off to get powder coated, but when I started to remove the internals looked absolutely great inside there. They were well preserved. I was originally going to get this part powder coated, but this is a really thin piece of metal. It is showing some rust or patina or whatever you want to call it, and I just decided I'm going to leave that alone because it looks like it's still working and it did its job to preserve the internals. But we did run into one issue, and this is how we got it. Essentially, now let me show you what I did first. Essentially, there was two leads right here, one right here and one right here, but one of them was broken off. So what I did was I had to drill inside it because I wanted to keep this portion on there in order to grab the wire and pull it out, because I tried to solder that lead in there and I couldn't because it was pretty much not working. So just to show you real quickly how everything works, I took the screw off, I pulled this out, right? And if you see here, there's the connector right here and then the wires that connect to it. But when I came over here, this connector was completely broken off and I couldn't solder anything to it. And what I did is I desoldered the wire to it and I drilled a small hole. And essentially what I did is I put the wire through the hole, right? Let's see if we could recreate our greatness here. There we go. It did crack a little bit, but that happens. It happens. All right. No, that's fine. We could hold it down with some electrical tape. And that's what happens whenever you're working with stuff, especially plastics or anything that's older. You know, you guys know if you're working on cars, it's just, especially this year of cars, stuff just kind of gets a little old. All right, so I'm screwing that down. I have this wire out. I'm going to pull it all away. And what I did is, this is the original connector right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to this side and essentially make a connection like it was, of course, replacing that lead that we have. So before we do that, we're going to go ahead and fix up this tiny little, we're going to call this a harness that came with the car. This original electrical tape looks really old. So let's take this off. And if you've ever worked with electrical tape, guys, you know that it leaves your hands with this sticky residue. Ugh, and it's going to require some dish soap to remove. But that's the territory we're in and that we love, right? We like the smell of gas. We like loud stuff. All right. So we have that off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a alcohol pad real quick. And I'm just going to clean these off real quick. And then put it back together with our electrical tape. Okay, let's go ahead and clean these off. I love alcohol pads. They just make life so easy. I love using them. So what we're doing is I want to give a quick plug to our program. If you S800 guys out there want to expand your knowledge or simply learn more about cars, I am an ASE certified master tech. And if you international guys don't know what that is, it's the highest professional certification for cars that you can get in America. Of course, there's like other certifications that are dealer based and make and model based, but ASE is a very recognized one. And we have courses that we made to help people become better technicians and also to pass their ASE test. So you guys check out our website if you want to learn more. Right now we have 2 courses, one beginner for brakes and an intermediate for brakes, and they're really neat. All right, these look pretty clean, and look how much gunk we got off of them, guys. Okay, we're going to be putting back electrical tape on this. There are plenty of other type of insulators or protectors that are made for harnesses that are a lot better than electrical tape, but we're just going to use what was on there. And essentially what I'm going to do, if I could do this right, is I'm going to go at an angle. There's not like a real big science to this that I know of. But essentially I'm going to try to keep the wires flat instead of them just doing a bunch of crisscrossing underneath the electrical tape. And we're going to fast forward this segment. All right, and we're done. And we left this part here a little bit open, so we have some flexibility there, but that portion is done. Now we're going to go ahead and crimp down this connecting point. Boop. And I think that's good. And I'm going to add a little bit of electrical tape just to help secure. Technically, anytime you crimp something down, you shouldn't need this, but it'll just help us to keep everything nice and clean. And then, yep, our connector hypothetically works like that. Not super clean, but of course it's going to be a little hidden in the car, and it's going to still make the horn operational. And now we're going to go ahead and assemble the rest of the horn. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the reassembly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and attach this part. As you can tell, this is the clean area. It's going to go towards the electronics inside. We're going to go ahead and try to line it up the best we can. It's a little tricky, but we got it. All right, boom. And even though these gaskets are pretty much done, we're gonna still use them. There we go. Let's see, this one went like this, or like this, or let's see. Sounds like you can play gasket detective here. All right, boom. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and place this little mounting bracket underneath here. And then while holding everything, we're gonna place this bracket against everything, like that. Okay. And now we're gonna put the cover on while I'm holding everything with my hand. Oh, I think this is where I could be off, but I think these little washers go down here. I feel like I have a video of this, but I can't find it at the moment. And then I'm gonna put these washers on top. Like that. And honestly, it feels right, it looks right. I'm not gonna lock them down all the way, but. And then these, I thought about getting these cleaned. They might have looked a little bit better, kind of resynced. We might still do that, we'll see. But we left them its original color. And we're gonna start tightening everything down, but not all the way, just get them started. And now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten everything down, but I'm gonna do it in the star pattern because that's just a good practice in general. Everything's getting the star pattern. You tell me guys, what do you think? Should I do the hardware? Should I get it resynced, or should we leave it like that to give it that kind of contrast? All right, and check this out. This is a really cool part right here. This I plan when I'm totally done, because these screws right here weren't coming off. I'm gonna go ahead and double side sticky tape, or we're gonna just put a tab of crazy glue and attach the original emblem on here. But you know what I want to do? This is a little crazy, but I actually want to hear this horn. I'm sure you guys want to hear this horn. Let's go ahead and make it happen. All right, guys, you ready to hear this? Look what we did. Look at our rig that we have out there. Here, Driver's Therapy. We're all about experiments. All right, we're about to hear it. It does sound kind of crazy. All right, guys, even though we're not sponsored, we're gonna go ahead and finish off by putting the Gorilla Glue on our emblem and setting our emblem on there. And I'm just gonna leave that on there and let it do its magic. And that is it, guys. We have put together the horn. We're not gonna put it in the car because we still need to put the chassis bolts to connect the body and the chassis. So essentially we don't wanna add a bunch of weight. But we completed the horn and we tested it. Woohoo! And that is it, guys. Thanks for joining us for another awesome video and another update with our S800. I also welcome you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you don't know how to do that, just hit the subscription button or the subscribe button, and you don't have to pay anything or anything like that. What that does is it helps us, helps our channel grow, and it lets you know when we post a new video, so you don't have to wait till you see me post something on Facebook or anything like that. So it really helps out, and it's a great thing. Well, guys, thanks again for watching. We hope you have a happy holiday. Take care, and we'll see you soon.